Hello and welcome back to the channel. Welcome to a new series. Kind of a different format for me. I'm going to be looking at a big discography and going album by album, reviewing the albums, and kind of seeing what I think of everything. We're starting with Bob Dylan, big one, big one. An artist where I'm familiar with 17 of his 39 albums, so this is going to be quite the journey. And we're starting off with, of course, his eponymous debut, Bob Dylan, released in 1962. Um, of course, the first thing to mention with this album is, you know, it's mostly not originals. He arranged a couple of the songs, he wrote a couple of the songs. But one thing I will give this album, it has that sort of trademark acoustic Dylan sound that you'd expect. Harmonica and acoustic guitar feature heavily throughout. It has plenty of sort of 60s folky personality. For me, though, the album kind of lacks in terms of memorability and having standout songs. There's something quite captivating about its mood, though, which really sort of carries the album. I listened to it today, actually, on a nice sunny afternoon. And, it's just quite breezy. Just good. I don't want to say background music because I feel that makes it sound like an insult, but you can just have it on and it's very pleasant. The two full originals, Talking New York and Song to Woody, are among the best songs on the album. Both show signs of what's to come with this album to come afterwards, Freewheeling. A song like Pretty Peggy-O demonstrates Dylan's ability to have a bit of fun and loosen up, which is a side of him that I think people underestimate, especially those with only a casual knowledge of his work. I love his little woohoos throughout the song. It's really cool. Baby Let Me Follow You Down is a good showcase for Dylan's guitar playing, which I think is something I'm going to be mentioning, especially on the next album. His acoustic guitar playing is fantastic. I don't think the song itself is that captivating, but it's pretty good. It's all right. Yeah, and then there's a couple towards the end as well that I'm not too big on. His version of House of the Rising Sun feels pretty inessential. Not sure I needed to hear Dylan do that song. And Freight Train Blues has some of the most insane attempts at a high note I've heard. He was trying his best, but I think he'd figure out himself, his limitations, his voice, the style that he wanted to do a lot better by his second album. And I don't think this is like Warren Zevon's debut. It's not a debut completely worth forgetting. For Dylan fans, I think this is probably an essential listen, even though I'm not going to score it super high. It's interesting. It's interesting to listen to. It's got sort of a nice vibe to it, even if, like I said, there aren't many essential Bob Dylan songs here. Maybe none, to be honest. But as a full album, it flows really nicely and it has some good vibes going on. It's pretty breezy, swift listen. Like I said, really good for a summery afternoon and kind of interesting that this is the only 60s Dylan album that I'm not familiar with. So the rest of the decade, I'm going to be knowing all of these. So this is a first listen was pretty interesting. I'm going to put my track ratings out of 5 on screen, which of course we usually do out of 10, but just take the score in times 2. Explains itself. But as you can see, for me, the highest ranked songs were Pretty Peggy-O, Talking New York, and Song to Woody. I think Pretty Peggy-O is probably my favorite song. And then my lowest ranked would be In My Time of Dying and Freight Train Blues. So that's Bob Dylan's debut. Let me know what you think of it down below. As we go along, I will be ranking the discography as I go. So obviously, you'll see now in first place and also last place is Bob Dylan, the self-titled. And yeah, these will be very short videos where I just sort of dive into an album of this great man's discography and hopefully we'll get all the way. Freewheeling Bob Dylan, 1963 is next. I suspect there will be more in-depth discussion there. So thank you for watching and hopefully I'll catch you soon.